What's up, YouTube family? You are back on the other side with me, Mike G, and tonight I have another interview with a UFC fighter, Jacob Christmas Volkman. This man has multiple UFC wins, collegiate All-American, world grappling champion. Jacob, thanks for being on the channel tonight, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. You were born in Henning, Minnesota, not Fergus Falls, like Wikipedia is lying about.
Well, I was raised in Henning. I
Okay,
was born in Fergus Falls. I'm not sure why my hometown is Henning,
okay,
not Fergus Falls.
gotcha.
Fergus Falls is just the hospital, nearest hospital.
Okay, we'll have to get on Wikipedia and fix that.
Even the UFC had it wrong.
Really?
Yeah, that's probably why
Hey man,
Wikipedia was wrong.
you had a secret.
Huh.
Tell me a little bit about growing up. Usually the people I interview have some sort of struggle that they've gone through in their life, and you and I discussed this previously. Yours kind of starts out at the beginning rather than the middle, or recently. If you don't mind, tell me a little bit about growing up on a pig farm and some of the stuff you experienced.
I don't really consider it a struggle because that's just the way of life. The way life was.
Okay.
So my dad, he actually started off as a dairy farmer.
Okay.
So we had dairy farm until I was about 4 years old, 5 years old, somewhere in there. And then he got rid of the dairy farm because milk prices were were so low that you were better off just dumping the freaking milk down the gutter. So he transferred all of his barns pig, into raising pigs. And I don't know. When he got going, then the pig prices per pound went down. So it was a struggle for him. It wasn't really a struggle for me. I was just the helping hand. I was just his son. I just kind of watched what he did. He worked his butt off, and
Hmm.
he gutted all the barns, put new fencing in, new new gutters, new everything, and then the whole in 1990, the 90s were a bad year for pig farmers, and that's when he got into pig farming. Was just before 1990.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. It really wasn't much of a struggle for me. It was more for him. I was just, I worked. All I did was work.
Gotcha. You told me a story about a pig being tied up.
Oh, yeah.
Would you
So,
mind? A lot of people. I know you said that was just normal life to you, but man, I live in a very agricultural area, and I don't know anybody that would consider that at 6 years old usual.
so pig being tied up, or when, so there's different stories here. When my dad would have sows and boars, they would have teeth, and I would have to hold this rod that was probably 3 foot long that had a loop on the end, and I could pull the other end, and I would put it through the pig's nose, and I would
Right.
put the rod on the fence, and he would swing through with a hammer, and he would knock the teeth out of the pig, because if you don't knock the teeth out, they're gonna bite you. One
Right.
time I saw my dad, and he actually had a huge bite mark from the sow attacking him.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of understood what he was going through. He got so mad that he just,
Payback.
yeah, that sow didn't have any teeth left.
Wow. You told me a little bit about having to birth the babies. Do you mind sharing the process of that? Because
So I was probably
that's
five or
wild.
6 years old, probably 6 years old when I first started. When he first started the pig farm, I was I had the longest arms and the skinniest arms. And
Okay.
the first year mom, she would have a hard time having babies, and I would have to reach in and pull them out. I'd be in there for an hour sometimes. Sometimes I would have to put this powder on my arm that turned into like a gel,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have to get it wet to turn it into gel. And then I'd be pulling the babies out. Most of the time they were dead. They're stillborn. But sometimes I couldn't pull them out. So then I would have to use a 2-foot rod, 3-foot rod. I don't remember exactly the length, but it had a hook on the end and it had an eye on the other end. And I
Okay.
would slide that down my arm to where the pig was, because sometimes after about 30 minutes, the mom starts swelling up and you can't get the pigs out.
Right.
And I'd hook the eye. I'd put the hook in the eye, and I would pull the pig's head and the rod at the same time. But sometimes that rod would pull out of the pig's eye. So then I would use the other eye. Then I would use the jaw. Then if I couldn't get it out with that, I would use the back of the head. But I already knew pulling some out that they were already dead. So it wasn't really, there's no point of saving them. The only point of saving is
save the mom.
Yeah, the mom.
Gotcha.
And if I didn't get it out, my dad would stand there. He'd be like, "You don't get that pig out, that sow's going to die." And I was like, "Oh, God." So I stayed in there until my arm went numb.
It is amazing you are not a serial killer.
It's funny because that was my nickname in college.
Close. Close.
Mark
Well, man,
gave me that nickname.
You are a very internally strong individual, because that would have put a lot of 6-year-olds in a home. Like that's pretty tough, man. I applaud you for being able to do that and still be a normal human being afterwards.
Well, I just feared my dad. I didn't want to disappoint him.
Sure. The great motivator, fear.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about getting into wrestling in high school.
High school or elementary?
Okay. I forget that up north wrestling starts out real. Here in Arkansas, the high school doesn't even have wrestling.
I started wrestling in preschool.
Wait, on the playground or on the mats?
On the mat. So I was in preschool and I would wrestle kindergartners. I don't even know if I won a match. And then I got to kindergartner. No, I was in kindergarten. I started wrestling. I was wrestling.
Okay.
Anyway, I started either preschool or kindergarten because my dad wanted me to.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really. I liked it a little bit, but then in 6th grade, 4th grade, I started not liking it. It got kind of boring for me. All my friends were playing basketball. Henning is a basketball town.
Okay.
So I wanted to quit. My dad was like, "Nope, you're gonna wrestle." I was like, "I want to play basketball with my friends." Nope. So I was the only kid in my class, my grade, that wrestled.
Okay.
In elementary, in high school, I mean. And then I started liking it again in about 9th grade.
Okay.
That's when I started getting better, and I went to state 9th grade in high school. Puberty hit. That's a game changer for a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Plus, I had farmer strength. I'm not going to say what my teammates in college called it.
I can imagine.
Yep, farmer strength.
Yep.
Unless you want to get taken off YouTube.
I can imagine what you're thinking. At least a couple different things. I imagine.
So my teammates had a different term, and I called it farmer strength.
Yeah.
And then I got real good in. So 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade, I won state in wrestling.
Okay. So you got back into wrestling in you said like 9th grade.
No, I never stopped. I just didn't like it.
Okay, you just got to where you did.
My dad never let me quit.
Gotcha. Beat it. If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah. So I didn't like it. Then I was like, fuck it. I might as well start liking it because I'm not going to stop doing it. And then I saw this is how I'm going to be getting off the farm. I didn't want to be a farmer. So I figured if I'm winning state in wrestling, I can get a scholarship and go to college and get my college paid for, and then have that as my path as opposed to farming.
Mm-hmm. And is that what happened?
Yeah, it is. Kind of. I had a 25% ride. No, my dad was pissed because I had a full ride to NDSU.
Okay.
But my dream was to go to the U of M, University of Minnesota.
Gophers.
Yeah, Gophers. And I took a 25% scholarship because that was my dream. And my dad, he didn't really talk to me much for a whole year when I first started going to college, which is fine. Full ride, free school. I understand. I get it.
Yeah. It's your turn.
Yeah. Luckily, he didn't have to co-sign. Like now, kids have to have their parents co-sign for college,
Right.
their student loans. Back then, there was no co-signing. Not even through chiropractic school, there was no co-signing. So
Now,
my
when
debt,
you're sorry, go ahead.
my debt is my responsibility. It dies with me.
Exactly. Um, you were a 3-time All-American at the University of Minnesota, and I read at one point, what weight class did you wrestle at? Because I read that you beat Rashad Evans, who
Yeah.
was a middleweight, light heavyweight. What weight were you at?
So at that time, I started off at 174 my
Okay.
freshman year. So there's 5 years in wrestling. There's 5 years of college.
Mm-hmm.
Your first year is a redshirt year. You're just kind of getting used to everything and training
Right.
and building up. So my second year, my second year freshman year, I wrestled 174.
Okay.
Pretty sure Rashad Evans was a 174 pounder either
Wow.
that year or the following. Yeah, it's funny because he was just skin and bones. I was like,
It's
"What?"
hard to picture him like that.
I know. It's like, I talked to him behind the stage one time, and I was like, "How did you ever get down?" He said he cut weight. I don't really remember much of what he said, but he cut a lot of weight. He didn't like it.
Yeah. And didn't he? I know this is kind of off topic, but didn't he fight at heavyweight on the Ultimate Fighter when he won?
I think so.
I think he did. Man, he was a little chubby then.
174 pounds, and then he just fucking got huge.
Yeah. And 174 is not you cutting weight at all. That's natural weight, right?
I was on creatine actually
Okay, so you're having to build a little bit.
because they wanted me at 174. There was an opening at 174, and I actually certified my first year at 149.
Okay.
Then I moved up, got on creatine, and then I wasn't even a starter at 174 when I All American. The year that we won nationals for the first time, and we had 10 All Americans. The only time and anybody's ever had 10 All Americans. I was at 174. I wasn't even a starter until after national duels, which is mid-January. I lost the wrestle off against the first guy. I lost the wrestle off against the second guy, but for some reason they decided to put me in and keep me there. I'm not sure what the reasoning was, but they did, and eventually I ended up getting fourth at nationals.
Wow. Um, you earned your doctorate. But was that at Minnesota?
No,
No.
Northwestern
Okay.
Health Sciences University in Bloomington. It's a
Okay.
chiropractic, massage therapy, Chinese medicine kind of school.
Okay. I guess chronologically, where in your timeline does that fit in?
I went there 2004, September of 2004.
Okay.
After I graduated from the University of Minnesota in 2004 in June, whatever it was, June, August, or April, May or June.
How did you get into mixed martial arts? Were you already a fan when you were wrestling in college, or did you discover it after that?
I didn't even know what MMA was. I didn't know what the UFC was.
Okay.
I think, what year was it? 2008. So before that, I was trying for the world team. Before I didn't know about MMA. I didn't know what the UFC was. I didn't know anything about that. I was training for the world team. And 2008, Sean Shirk came
Hmm.
to the University of Minnesota and he started doing submission moves. He was like a guest speaker
Okay.
doing submission moves. So he was showing all the guys how to choke people out and just
Sure.
it was kind of a fun thing. And afterwards, he asked me, because I was rolling around with him, he asked me if I was interested in helping him train because he was going to fight BJ Penn.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, fuck, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I'll see what this is all about. Then I started training with him. And I fell in love with it. It was so fun. So then I started doing fights. I think my first year in 2009, I started fighting. I think I had 9 fights in 1 year.
Okay.
Because I was trying to make a little extra money because my ex-wife, she wasn't working at the time, and I had to pay the bills.
Yeah, I understand that. Does Sean Shirk, who I've spoken to in this fall, is going to be nice enough to grant me an interview? Does he have farmer strength?
He's got midget strength. Tell him
Yeah.
I said that. That'd be funny.
No, I'm not going to tell him that. That's not how I talk to you guys. No, he'll tell me to wait till spring. That's hilarious. Um, when you first started training MMA, after years of being at the top of the game in wrestling, I'm assuming when you first went into the MMA gym, that changed immediately, flip flopped. How was that? How was that dealing with going from being one of the best to a beginner again?
Well, I don't know. I had such a drive to be the best. So to be better than the guys I was training with, like Sean Shirk. So my goal initially was to prevent them from submitting me.
Okay.
So once I got that down, once I got them to stop submitting me, then I could work on how the hell am I going to submit these guys. So I never did the classes. I didn't have time for classes. All I did was I jumped right in there, and I was getting submitted pretty frequently. But then eventually I saw that it was a lot less frequent, and then eventually it stopped, and I was like, all right, now I can start working on my offense. So I think it was important for me to work on the defense before I worked on the offense.
Sure.
And it didn't take really long because I had the wrestling. I could stop their takedowns. Position was easy for me because wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. What is your favorite submission to catch somebody in?
Darce
choke. Nice.
Darce.
One
I
of
had
my
Colin
favorites
Biago
too.
on the Darce choke, but I didn't have enough energy to suck it down.
Hey,
It was
I didn't
right
have
in the third period.
Yeah. Let's see here. I was going to ask you something else about Sean. Who gave you the nickname Christmas?
Oh,
Where did
so
that
I
come from?
was training at the academy in Brooklyn Center, and Brock Lesnar and Nick Thompson were sitting there laughing. And Brock he's got a really deep laugh, and he's like, "Oh, Christmas." And I was like, "What is this?" And Nick Thompson looks at me and goes, "Yeah, we think you look like Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber." I don't see how it is.
I don't see it.
I had the boy haircut back in the day.
Maybe. Okay.
Rich Franklin, I had a picture with that guy, and I was like, dude, you look just like them.
Yeah, he's ace.
Yep. He's a nice guy.
You said your first pro fight was, or your first MMA fight, or your first pro fight was in 09? First pro fight, right?
No,
or was that 07?
09 is when I first started fighting.
Okay.
So, yeah, Butch Hychek is who I fought.
Tell me about winning the world 2008 World Grappling title.
It's a FIFA. What is it? FIFA. So
I'm not sure.
It's not like the Abu Dhabi. The Abu Dhabi is like the best of the best.
Okay.
This is a kind of a mid-level submission wrestling tournament. I qualified in San Francisco, and I beat Dave Hall. Is that right? Old MMA guy, UFC guy.
I remember an early guy, last name Hall.
Yeah,
but I can't
one
remember the first name.
at 174 or 170. He was a welterweight.
Okay.
So I beat him in the finals of the regions, and then I qualified for Worlds, and I beat some black belt from Brazil at Worlds.
Wow.
It was
What
a
is
no.
the
It was no gi. It was just shorts and a t-shirt.
is it now when you win that? Is it a medal, a giant trophy? What do you get for that? A great
You
big
get a
pride
medal.
style
We
check?
were supposed to get paid, but we never got paid.
Oh no.
But I got a free trip to Switzerland because that's where the world Lucerne in Switzerland. I was like, heck yeah, I'll take that.
I
I
guess if you
actually
didn't
had
get beat up too bad.
no, I'll take that trip. It was beautiful.
Yeah. How much were
So
you supposed to get paid if you don't mind me asking? Is that okay to ask?
I think I was supposed to get $1,000, but I never did.
Right on. Yeah, the trip's worth it.
Yeah, it was an experience.
You mentioned Paulo Thiago. I believe that was your UFC debut at UFC 106. Does that sound right?
Yep.
What's it like walking to the cage the first time?
It didn't really feel any different because when I was wrestling for the University of Minnesota, we were fighting we were wrestling in the Target Center or Excel,
Hmm.
and it was sold out, and the
Okay,
crowds were huge. So the
sure.
crowds were the same. And I don't really think about TV, so I didn't really care about the camera following me around.
Gotcha.
So I was kind of used to it.
I always find it really interesting to hear. Everybody has a different process they go through. Some guys are holding back the puke. Some guys feel high. Some guys it's just normal. So that's pretty wild. How did
Nerves,
that
yeah,
fight?
the nerves were kind of intense, but that was
Sure,
just like a wrestling match for me.
gotcha.
What I would do is I would just go walk around, I'd pace around, and I'd maybe do some shadow boxing or whatever.
What was your walkout music?
I think it was ACDC.
Okay,
What at that time? I think it was ACDC. TNT. I'm not
there
really
you
sure. I don't remember.
go. How did that fight go?
I lost unanimous decision to Paulo Thiago. So,
Not horrible for a debut. That's a
well,
tough debut fight.
I had his back a few times, and I had a rear naked possibility, but I wasn't really experienced.
Right.
I didn't really. I don't know. There's a lot of things I wish I would have done different, but that's hindsight. Everyone's got
Right.
that.
Yeah. UFC 108, you faced Martin Kampman,
Yeah.
who's a guy that I was personally a big fan of when he was going through, I think, his 5 or 6 fight win streak, getting close to the title. How was it fighting Martin?
Paulo Thiago actually had a better chance, didn't he?
I think they both got within maybe like they both got to a contender fight. I think
Okay. Well,
both got pretty close.
Martin Kampman wasn't near as strong as Paulo Thiago, but my game plan was stupid. My game plan was to go in there and just stand up with him. The guy's a counter fighter, so
Hmm.
if you're going forward on this guy throwing punches like I was, he backs up and he'll hit you. He's taller.
That's his strength.
He had the reach on me. It was just a bad game plan.
Hmm. All right. You fought at UFC Fight Night Gomi versus Florian, which I actually have on DVD in my living room right now. Um, you wouldn't believe my DVD collection of UFC fight. I mean, nobody. I bet Dana doesn't have a collection like I do. um,
Your DVD collection? Does they have the undercards too?
yes, I have. I'm missing. I think 13 through 28 or 29. Other than that, I have all the way up until they stopped producing them on DVD because they wanted everyone to use the streaming service. I've got every year of box sets they have. I have every Ultimate Knockouts, every Ultimate Submissions, the individual fighter discs, the Forrest Griffin, the Matt Hughes. I've got all those. Man, I've got so much stuff. I've got so much memorabilia. I've got an autographed menu from Chael Sonnen's Pizza Joint. Um, Is UFC Fight Night Gomi versus Florian? Is that when you dropped down to lightweight?
I'm not sure. Was that the one in
You fought
South Carolina?
Harney's Torres.
Oh yeah, that was my first one.
Okay, how did you feel much of a difference?
I felt more powerful.
Okay,
Because
it
those
wasn't
guys
such a cut
at
that you felt
welterweight.
drained.
No, I didn't feel drained. Those
Okay.
guys at welterweight, they were big.
Yeah.
I think Paulo Tiago, he was a big kid. He was cutting down from 220. Martin Kampman, same thing. He was cutting down from two something. Yeah.
And that's back in the IV days.
I wish. I never used an IV.
Right.
I wish I would have. That might have helped.
Do you, as far as I know, no one has ever accused you of PED use, performance enhancing drugs.
Oh, no. No.
When you were fighting, what percentage of fighters would you guess were using something?
I don't know about percentage, but I would say that most of the people in Florida that are training were doing that. I went to Florida to train a few times with like Hector Lombard or whatever. What is?
Oh yeah, yep.
I'm pretty sure that guy was on it because he could not control his emotions. I went there to corner two fighters that were fighting down there, Zach Dusla and Jordan Parsons. And I went to train at American Top Team. Does that sound right?
Yeah, Coconut Creek.
Where Hector was.
Mm-hmm.
And we're grappling. We're just grappling. I'm fighting, I think, Paul Kelly in 2 weeks from then.
Mm-hmm.
And Hector's not liking my collar tie. A wrestling move, basic collar tie.
Sure.
He pushes me back and he punches me in the face with no gloves on. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you punching me for? I got to fight in 2 weeks. He starts like talking shit. And then he wants to go again. I'm like, no, I'm done with you. You're an idiot. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure he was on steroids. He could not control his emotions at all.
Well, he's one of the, if you look at the list of guys that, and obviously I have no clue, but if you look at the list of guys whose careers just fell off when USADA showed up, Hector Lombard is one of those guys.
When what showed up?
United States Anti-Doping Association, the UFC drug testing that came in, was it 5 years ago, 6 years ago? Johnny Hendricks was another one that went from making GSP look normal to not being able to make weight, not being able to win a fight. But yeah, Lombard was one of those guys that everything changed. Johnny Hendricks.
Johnny Hendricks.
Yeah, he was a welterweight. He's actually the guy that fought Kampman for the contender fight that I was talking about a minute ago. Hendricks hit him with a weird like shovel punch and just starched him 10 seconds in. It was pretty wild.
Why do I know the name Johnny Hendricks? I might have wrestled him.
He's from Oklahoma State, I think.
What?
Look like a garden. Okay, there you go. Johnny Hendricks. Look like a little garden gnome.
I choked him out at Minneapolis here.
When I
choked him out, I submitted him with a rear naked.
Okay, I don't know if it's the fight after you fought Martin or if there was another one between, but yeah, Johnny fought Martin for the chance to, I think it was, who did Johnny win the belt against? Condit maybe, or Robbie Lawler? But it was during that time period that when Robbie first
I never fought Johnny Hendricks then.
So, okay.
It's somebody different.
Short, stocky guy for a welterweight. I mean, bald, great. He looked like a garden gnome. Big beard.
So he fell off because he was doping?
He never failed to test, but he went from, like I said, he fought GSP. It's one of the worst decisions in history. Made GSP look like a prelim fighter right before GSP took his break. Yeah, and then USADA came in, and Johnny went from beating the crap out of everyone and making it look easy to not being able to make weight. moving up to a weight class, still not being able to make weight, getting knocked out by Tim Boach, who I love Tim Boach, but Tim Boach doesn't knock a lot of guys out. Um, I think he went from world champion to 1-6 and released
Huh.
after USADA came in.
Yeah, I never fought Johnny Hendricks. He's starting to ring a bell. He is a year or two younger than me. I fought a guy that was older than him.
Okay. Yeah, Johnny
Yeah.
Hendricks was affected by the drug testing the same way Alistair Overeem was affected by the drug testing. It was never the same. Yeah,
I thought he
wait.
was on horse pills.
Yeah, that was horse meat. One of my favorite. There used to be a guy on BloodyElbow.com way back several years ago named Kubret Puyaev, I believe was his name, but he
Yeah,
did
that fast.
he did impressions of MMA fighters, and one of my favorite was Alistair Overeem. And as he's pretending to beat Alistair, he says, "I eat all the beefs: horse beef, pig beef, chicken beef." So he just goes through all the different. I eat all the beef. The way he says it, it's hilarious because of the way Alistair talks. 2010, you defeated Antonio McKee.
What's going on with your speaker? Is your speaker making that sound too, or is it just? There you go. Every time you say something, it's like popcorn going off.
Is it still doing it?
Yeah. I'll plug my phone here, see if that helps. Say something.
I didn't do anything different.
Okay.
There we go.
If you're not hearing it, it's probably just on my phone, which is no big deal.
Okay, yeah, I'm not. I don't hear it.
Antonio McKee? What about Antonio McKee?
Tell me about your. There we go. Now I'm hearing it real bad.
Yep.
I don't know. I'll back up. Maybe that'll help. Tell me about your post-fight call-out in the cage.
Well, with Obama?
Yes.
So, I was a chiropractor at the time. I still have my license, but I don't practice anymore. And the Obamacare came out, and it made all kinds of changes with the healthcare system. All the codes changed, and I was getting denied on claims because I didn't put a decimal here, and I didn't know what code they wanted. There was no real easy way to find for me the codes for the Obamacare, the new healthcare system. And I was getting fed up. And after my fight with Antonio McKee, Ariel, he asked me who I wanted to fight next. And I was naming off a couple fighters. I think I said, who's the one he's like got long hair, he looks like a troll at 155?
Clay Guida?
Guida, yep. I always wanted to fight him. I found him the most fascinating.
He's a wild
fighter.
man.
One of my favorite fighters. And I was like, I would love to fight Clay Guida. And I was like, no, I'd like to fight Obama. And I was like, and he's like, wait a minute. I called Obama an idiot, which I regret because obviously the guy's not an idiot.
Sure.
He's the president of the United States. He can persuade anybody to vote for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I guess it just blew up after that. The freaking somebody from Illinois that knew Obama, that was friends with him, called Secret Service and wanted them to investigate me. And they sent someone to my house. I was coaching youth wrestling at the time, and my ex was at home with two of my kids, and she started crying. She told them where I was, and they come up to the youth wrestling practice, and there's a police officer escorting the Secret Service. The police officer, he's got his hand on his gun. I'm like, do you really need to have your hand on your gun? And the Secret Service, and so he takes his hand out of his gun. The Secret Service, he's in like a full the black suit. He looks just like him. He's got a folder in his hand with my information. I go, so first of all, he was like, hey, do you know why we are here? I said, I got an idea why. Can I see that folder? Can I see what you have in my folder?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no. And then he asked me, he goes, are you planning on going to Washington to attack the president or shoot the president or whatever? I was like, no, I can't afford a ticket. That's exactly what I said to him. He goes, no. He's like, okay. I was sent here from somebody because somebody was complaining in Illinois. He told me the whole story, and he was a really cool guy.
What
He
a
didn't
waste
want
of
to get there.
taxpayer dollars.
Well, the thing is, there's Secret Service in every state.
Hmm.
So he's not flying from Washington, D.C.
Right.
There's a Secret Service in Minnesota. That's where he came from.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So just the idea that because you said something on TV,
It wasn't even on TV. It
right?
was a post-fight interview that Ariel, he was never on TV at the time. He had his
Okay.
own his own stream, kind of like what we're doing here.
I
Was
thought you said it in the cage after a fight.
no, that was it was underneath MGM in the alley.
Okay.
After
Gotcha.
yeah, it wasn't even
Now,
on TV.
if I remember right, you ended up on a couple of late night shows uh, as a result of that. Is that true?
I was on Jay Leno, a spoof on Jay Leno. Where
That's awesome.
I was doing the interview with. They took it off YouTube. I
Oh
don't know
no.
who took it off, but somebody took it off YouTube. It was where Jay Leno was talking about me, and he goes, "This fighter did something really stupid," and then all of a sudden it goes to the interview where Ariel and me are talking, and then all of a sudden you see Obama come behind me and smash my head against the brick wall and knock me out. Like, that's hilarious.
Now I'm assuming it wasn't actually Obama. Who did they have play? Who they have played the part? Just some random person.
It was Obama.
Oh, okay. He was really there.
Well, he was cropped.
Okay. Gotcha. I thought you meant they got him there to do it. I was like, wow, that would have been uncomfortable.
No, he was cropped in.
Gotcha.
Then afterwards, he fixes his tux.
Looking back on that situation, if you had it to do over again, would you have still called out Obama or would you have called out somebody else?
I don't think it mattered. Yeah, I would have still done the same thing because I was a wrestler.
Gotcha.
UFC is not like wrestlers.
Not really. It seems like Matt Hughes is the last wrestler that they pushed hard.
The underground is the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Because they all talk how we're boring fighters. You know what? Fighting is not just stand up, knocking each other out. There's technique. Yeah. It's everything.
If you don't like the wrestling, beat it.
Yeah. So the wrestlers, they were kind of pushed away.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tyrone Woodley, he was a UFC champ. I actually wrestled him a few times.
Right.
He's a great fighter.
How those matches go?
I think I'm like 2-1 with him.
Nice.
Yeah, he beat me one time.
Okay. You have the same number of wins against him as Jake Paul.
Jake who?
The YouTube boxer guy.
He fought Woodley?
Yeah, the Nickelodeon kid, the Paul brothers. Yeah, a couple of his early professional boxing matches were against Woodley. He knocked him out twice after Woodley left the UFC. Yeah, poor Tyrone's gone downhill, man.
I like Tyrone. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I never had a problem with him. I always felt like he never really got a. I don't know if fair shake's the term for it. I don't feel like fans really got to know him as well as maybe some other champions. Maybe that's the best way I can put it. I think he was a little misunderstood by.
At least he got a chance to get the belt. I never got one chance in hell.
Yeah, I don't think the UFC planned on him knocking Robbie Lawler out in 40 seconds.
Oh man, he knocked Robbie out. I didn't know that.
That's how he won the belt. Robbie had those amazing fights against Johnny Hendricks and Rory McDonald, Carlos Condit. Robbie had like 5 or 6 fights in a row that were epic. Yeah, and then the end of that, his title run was Tyrone Woodley just starching him.
I knew Tyrone had some quickness.
Yeah, man, explosive power. Explosive.
Yep.
Yeah, he was his explosive speed reminded me of Melvin Gillard in a way.
Oh God.
or Drew McFedries for that matter. Drew McFedries had some bombs in his hands. Um, your last UFC fight was against, we can't call him Bobby King Green anymore because he just a few weeks ago legally changed his name to just King Green. Um,
Huh?
why did you leave the UFC?
Why did I?
Yes.
Oh, I got let off. Joe Silva called me 2 weeks after that Bobby Green fight and said the numbers don't add up. We got to release you.
How did you take that? Were you
That was a shocker. Change is always hard.
sure?
Changing your career is hard, and I knew I could not make a living. I tried to make a living with World Series of Fighting, and they're just a bunch of criminals.
You're not the first one to say that.
Ali was the worst criminal of all, and what's his name? Who was in charge? Who was like the president?
Of World Series of Fighting,
Yeah.
Ray Sefo.
Nope, not him. The other guy. God, it was a white guy. He was in charge of just to paint a picture. He got in trouble because he was in charge of an association, and he was stealing money from the association. So I had a contract. I had a contract with World Series of Fighting. My first fight was 7,000 to fight, 7,000 to win. I won my first fight, so it should have been 9-9. Same with the UFC. It bumps up 2,000.
Sure.
So my next fight should have been 9-9. And whoever it was, along with Ollie, he was the matchmaker.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't got to fight for you. So I called up the other guy because Ollie told me that I was supposed to fight. I was going to get in a fight within 2 months after my other fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Ollie said, nah, I have other fighters that I want to put in there. So I asked, I want to say it's Steve. I asked him, I was like, what's going on here? He said he was going to put me in there. He's not putting me in there. I need the money. I got to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is like, can you do it for 6 and 6? I'm like, what? So I fought Luis Farimo. Even though my contract was 9-9, I agreed to it because I needed the money.
Right.
Because they were not paying near what I was getting from the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost against Luis Farimo. And I asked him, I was like, can I just fight local shows? Because I need to fight more to make more money to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. And I did a few more, and I was like, I got to be done. So I called my brother up. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, Justin. I got to figure out how to pay the bills because this fighting is not working. He goes, why don't you work for that tree service you worked for back when you were in high school? So I was like, fuck yeah. So I worked for Right Tree Service, and I never went back.
Okay.
My brother, he's always a guy that I always call for advice.
Okay, that's awesome that you have that. I have a brother.
Yeah.
Now, because you're more familiar with the medical field and the human body than your average person, I read a story about a medical procedure that I think, if I read right, you are the world's foremost expert on the installation procedure of what's called a glassectomy. Would you mind sharing with us this cutting edge medical procedure?
Well, if Obama did it correctly, he may have been a better president. So all you had to do was cut your belly button out.
Mm-hmm.
You put your piece of glass in there, so when you have your head up your butt, you can see where you're going.
This is one of my favorite interviews ever.
Actually, I said that on stage after my fight.
That's amazing.
With Joe Rogan.
I respect that you're someone who speaks their mind.
Joe Rogan was going to let. I said that Obama needed a glassectomy, and he was going to let it slide. And I said to Joe Rogan, I was like, "Aren't you going to ask him what a glassectomy is?"
You would think he just automatically would, being the comedian, you know?
Oh, he didn't want any part of it. he didn't want any part of it. He was like, I'm pretty sure that Joe Rogan knew what that was before I said it.
Probably. And when he's in the cage after the fight, he has an earpiece in, doesn't he?
I think so.
Somebody was probably in his ear saying, "Shut up, Joe. Shut up, Joe." During the course of your career, and I want to include all the way back through college, your combat sports career, what are some of the, have you experienced some major injuries or have you been pretty lucky in that regard?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I have. That's the reason when I was fighting Bobby Green or King Green. So when I was training, I would tear a ligament. So I tore my ACL, PCL, and MCL in both knees. I don't have either one of them, any of them in both knees. But I couldn't stop fighting to repair them. So I kind of just sucked it up and maybe took a week off to let it, like, the swelling go down.
Sure.
And because my ex-wife, she wasn't working, so I had to fight at that time. And then I went in when I was towards the end of my career in 2016 or whatever, and I saw my orthopedic surgeon, and he's like pulling my knees around. He's like, "Volkmann, you don't have an MCL, PCL, and MCL or ACL in either one of your knees. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know.
Best I can."
Yeah, I went in to get meniscus surgery. And he's testing all this out. He's like, "Volkmann, you need to stop." And I look at him like, "Oh, fuck." That's probably the first time I realized I probably should stop. Because I lost against Bobby Green because I shot in on him and my knee gave in. I fell down. And then he started raining elbows on me. I don't know, it's one excuse, but I hate to use excuses, but that's what happened in the second round. I had a really nice double leg on him, and I couldn't finish it because my knee gave in. And after getting hit with a few thousand elbows, it's kind of hard to recover after that.
Yeah. Speaking of elbows, have you heard the recent? They've recently made some changes to the unified rules of MMA, and one of them is regarding the forever illegal 12-6 elbow. They've taken that rule away. It is no longer illegal.
I don't see why that would be a problem. The concussion happens when your head goes side to side.
Yeah.
It's the rotation of the head and the brain inside. So going from straight down, that's not going to rotate the brain. So
right.
You're only going to hurt your elbow, first of all, because the freaking head is harder than your elbow.
Yep.
And maybe the back of the head, getting hit in the back of the head, I could see them keeping that one, but not the one you're talking about.
Yeah. If elbows and fists were harder than heads, we would have all died off a long time ago. I want to ask you a few personal, specific, just to you, or just about you questions. These are pick one and tell me why, if you don't mind. Pulled pork or brisket?
Oh, God. I like pulled pork more. Brisket's
okay.
a little fattier for me. But then you got to have the right sauce.
Sure. Pulled pork's way more versatile. You can do anything with it.
Yeah.
If you're ever in Fayetteville, Arkansas, home of the Arkansas Razorbacks, I want you to give me a shout, and I'm going to hook you up with world champion winning barbecue on the house.
I'll make a point of going there. Maybe this winter when it's slow for me for my tree service.
There you go. Yeah, come down here. It'll be like 35. It'll seem tropical.
Yeah. It gets down to 35 there?
Oh, I mean, there's times it's in the single digits, but it's, 1 month out of the year. The rest of the winter, it's, 20s, 30s.
I'm there.
I'm in the northwest corner.
Okay.
All right. One of the greatest combat sport questions ever. Tyson or Ali? In their prime.
Tyson.
Oh my God.
I think
All right.
Tyson, he's got so much power.
Could he have got inside though?
He would just steamroll over Ollie. Ollie's quick on his feet, but Tyson's got so much power.
Yeah, it would have been great to see.
That would have, yeah.
All right, here's a tough one: Golden Gophers or Vikings?
Gophers, obviously.
Gophers.
Fucking Vikings.
Uh,
What the
my
hell? They got
mom's
the
the
worst
same
looking
way
ever
as I told you
roster.
before. My mom's from Goodhue, close to Red Wing. She hasn't been to college there in 50 years, and she still calls me after on Saturdays, tells me the score.
For the Gopher football team?
Yeah, yeah, she's a
Oh,
big
no,
Gopher.
I'm
Yeah,
not a fan of Gopher football. I hated the Gopher football team when I was in college there. I thought
aren't you like required to like all of it?
no.
Oh, okay.
No, one time I was training. My coach, he was doing like a hard training session for me. And
Hmm.
there was a few Gopher football team looking up at us, working out, and laughing at us. And I started swearing at them. I said, "What the fuck you guys looking at?" Because they were up laughing, pointing at us.
Hmm.
And Joe Russell was the coach at the time. He goes, "Volkmann, you need to stop it. We're going to get kicked out of here." It was just, they were so entitled. The football team was so entitled. This, they never proved anything either. They never got anywhere in football.
Right.
But they acted like they were the bee's knees on campus.
Um, I did an interview. Do you know who Sean Salmon is?
No.
Okay, he was a collegiate All-American wrestler. It seems like University of Michigan and maybe Iowa, one of the big wrestling schools. He said that up there, there's always animosity between football team and wrestlers. Is have you experienced that, or just where you went?
I never experienced anywhere else, but where I was, yeah, there was.
Okay. He said it was kind of like they both thought each other, were weaker. We're tougher. No, we're tougher type thing, football players and wrestlers.
Oh, I just hated how they made fun of me.
Gotcha. Coffee or energy drink?
Oh God. When I'm with my girlfriend, coffee.
Okay.
When I'm going to do tree quotes, energy drink.
Which one's your favorite?
Monster, the white one.
That is everybody's favorite. Everybody loves the white monster.
Yeah.
Okay. Greco-Roman or freestyle?
Greco. That's what I was training for the world team.
Gotcha. George St. Pierre or Anderson Silva?
Oh God. The only reason I would say Anderson Silva is that one time that he was fighting Chael Sonnen.
Mm-hmm.
Chael
Yep.
Sonnen was beating him every round.
Yep.
Until the last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And Anderson Silva beat him. Like, no way. I was so mad and happy for him at the same time. I was rooting for Chael.
Yeah.
George St. Pierre, I don't know. It's kind of frustrating because he was more of a ground guy. He was more of a wrestler. He'd take you down. He'll ground and pound. He'll control the fight. That's the way I was, and I got booed, and he was loved. So I'm going to say Anderson Silva.
There you go. I think Anderson would have caught him with a knee coming in.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
But they were different weight classes.
Exactly. That was one of those dream fights that never happened, and I wish it would have.
Yeah, I saw Anderson Silva one time. I was like, holy shit, you're so tall. He was like 6'5".
Yes, I think 6'4", something like that. Yeah, very, very tall middleweight.
So bone.
Yeah, and even when he fought at light heavyweight, he didn't look small. He was, when he fought Forrest Griffin, and Forrest is a big light heavyweight, they were the same size.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Chuck Norris or Bruce Lee?
I'm gonna have to go for Norris on this one. I
Because he was a real fighter?
Stuff. Huh?
Because he was a real fighter?
Chuck Norris was?
Yeah.
You don't think Bruce Lee was?
Yes, but not. I don't know. I just always took Chuck Norris more seriously. Maybe it was all the quotes, the Chuck Norris quotes.
I
Like, is
used
it
to
a
watch the show
coincidence
all
that
the time.
Chuck Norris was born on the same day that World War II ended? Is that a coincidence?
I used to watch him and that one guy. What was that show that he was in?
Walker, Texas Ranger.
There you go. I used to watch that growing up. I loved it.
That show is it seems like, especially looking back now, watching that show, I don't know how anyone past about the age of 12 could appreciate it. It was looking back as an adult now, that show was pretty bad.
Oh, yeah, I
I
was
mean, it was
pretty young.
entertaining, but the acting, it wasn't winning any Emmys, I don't think.
My dad liked it.
Yeah, I remember my dad watching it too, like crazy. All right, it's your birthday, and your best friend Dana White is providing the band. I was just joking about the Dana thing. Um, who's playing on stage? Who's playing Happy Birthday to you?
Oh,
Who's your favorite band?
Five Finger Death Punch.
Awesome. Have you seen them live?
No, I actually they were in the city this year. They were supposed to play with Metallica on this like 2 Sundays ago.
Okay.
So my girlfriend got tickets for Friday and Sunday. It was a 2 day thing with Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
So we went on Friday. Five Finger Death Punch wasn't playing. It was
Oh no,
it was God. Who was that? Walk. Who sings that song? Walk.
Pantera.
Pantera was singing on Friday.
Nice.
It was still I loved it. I've always wanted to see Pantera, but
Yeah.
I wish I would have saw Five Finger Death Punch. They didn't play
I,
till Sunday.
I saw Five Finger Death Punch in 2008 in Little Rock, Arkansas. It
Back when he was
was.
drinking.
Do what?
Back when he was drinking.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, that show was wild. It was right after their first album came out, before their second album, and I wasn't a huge fan. I went to see the other bands that were there, but they did an amazing live show. They do a really really good job live. If you get a chance to see them, of
Is it
course,
if you
20
ever
years later now, but
if you ever Google the 5 best mosh pits, I'm pretty sure they're number one. I'm not.
I believe that.
It's an outdoor concert, and you can see people pretty much dying out there. They're getting smashed.
Let's see, 2019. I was lucky enough to get to go see Slayer on their final world tour, and holy crap, that was a mosh pit. I, I would not go anywhere near that. I would.
I used to like those. There was at the Metallica concert. There was some guy in a banana outfit in the mosh pit. I couldn't stop looking at him. I'm pretty sure everybody wanted to kill him.
That's really needing attention. All right. If you can, give me maybe the best advice, some great advice you've been given. Maybe some advice you got early in your fight career. That's maybe something from Sean Shirk that's stuck with you through the years.
Well, I do have advice that I got from my wrestling coach in college, Jay Robinson.
Okay.
When I was done wrestling in 2004, when I was done with the college wrestling, I sat down with him and I was like, I'm gonna do this chiropractic thing, and I was really on the fence about whether I wanted to continue wrestling or not. And he goes, "Well, Volkmann, if you don't do it, and in 10 years from now, you can't do it, you're only going to regret not doing it."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, fuck. I wish I would have never done the chiropractic thing and focused on the Greco wrestling, trying to get on the world team. Because my first year out of college, I had very little Greco-Roman training, and I got second at nationals, senior nationals. So I think I could have done better if I would have put more time into it, but that's hindsight. I had to focus on chiropractic because my ex-wife wanted me to be a chiropractor and make 6 figures, and that didn't work out. That's why
very few things in life work out the way we plan. unfortunately, it seems like.
Yeah.
Um,
So that'd be my advice. If you got a chance to do something, do it before it's gone.
Absolutely. Take the opportunities when they present themselves.
Yeah.
Um, who would the most important person in your fight career be? To your fight career, I guess.
Well, well, I did everything for my kids, so I don't know.
Your kids were the most important people to your fight career then.
Yeah, because that's why I fought.
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. I've had people say a training partner, a coach, a manager, an agent.
I took my
Nobody,
kids to practice with me.
nobody's ever. People have said their wives, best friends. Nobody's ever said their kids. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I only have a couple more, and then I'll let you go on to your evening. If there is a fight you could have had in the UFC, a dream fight, who would that opponent have been? If you
Oh,
could have fought anybody.
said Clay Guida.
Okay.
Well, then Benson Henderson, he was a UFC title holder when I went 5-0 at lightweight.
Hmm.
He actually he actually called me out. I don't
Okay.
understand. I would have loved to fight Benson Henderson and Clay Guida. So I don't know. One of those two would have been fun.
Okay. Who is your favorite combat sport athlete ever?
Combat sport athlete.
It could be wrestling, kickboxing, car jitsu, phone booth fighting, extreme arm wrestling, ultimate thumb wars.
I don't know. That's I met Matt Hughes and he was interesting to watch. BJ Penn, Matt Hughes, that kind of era. Those guys.
Okay.
I would probably say more Matt Hughes.
Okay.
Just because I met him one time and he's just down to earth. He
He's
actually
a
gave me
farmer.
advice one time. He goes, I forgot what he said, but he was giving me advice on something about training hard.
Okay. I was told once that for a large portion of his career, one of his favorite or most used sayings was, "If you're feeling froggy, just jump." And I thought that was funny because I can absolutely picture Matt Hughes saying that to people.
If you're that doesn't even
If
make
you're
sense to
feeling
me.
froggy, just jump.
You gotta say it like Kermit the Frog. Then
um, if you had a message that if there were people sitting behind me that were all going through some kind of bullshit in life like we all go through every day, sometimes we go through little stuff, big stuff, but if there were people here listening to you, looking for inspiration, what would be a message that you might share with them, of hope, of not giving up?
oh Jesus,
I know. Just keep
ah,
on keeping on.
suck it up, Private. There you go.
There you There you go. What's what did your first ever wrestling coach tell you when you wanted to give up? I'm sure you heard wanted to give up at least once early on. What did they say?
I was never a person to give up. My dad, I told him I wanted to be done wrestling, and he's like, "No, you're not going to be done wrestling. You're going to keep wrestling." But in wrestling, I never had a coach because I never gave the impression I was going to give up. So I don't know.
Did Dad push you that hard because he knew what you were capable of?
I think so. Yeah, he would. In elementary, I would go up grade. If I was in kindergarten, I'd wrestle first graders. If I was in first grade, I'd wrestle second graders because they were bigger. And then in high school, I actually went up weight classes. My coaches would put me up. I had a loss in my junior year. I was a 145 pounder, 152 pounder, and then I went up to 171 to wrestle the number one wrestler from North Dakota, and I lost to him in the finals. So yeah, I think my coaches and my dad they knew.
You just needed a little push.
Yeah,
Okay. Um, what do you have going on in your life today? Hobbies, business? Do you mountain bike? Are you a beer connoisseur? What does Christmas do these days?
Well, I wish I could do certain things. I, uh, I need a hip replacement, so I can't run. I love running,
Okay.
but I do like going camping. I just went camping with the girlfriend the other weekend, and I love spending time with my kids. We are always doing something, whether going to the parks or going out to eat, or actually, I have my boys working for me now.
That's
So
awesome.
I I make my well, I don't make them. They want to work. They want to make money. They want to save money, which is good because they're not spending money. So I think I'm teaching them the right thing. And
Are they glad to be working with trees and not pigs?
they have no idea. They better be.
They got it easy, don't they, man?
Oh God.
Um, I usually ask how friends and fans can keep up with the person I'm talking to and follow them, but you told me you don't really do a lot of social media. So
My
why don't you?
Facebook is open to public.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna have so many people sending you friend requests, man.
Uh,
You're gonna get 100 new ones after we post this.
I'll probably deny everybody.
Well, if they're all from Arkansas, you'll know it's because of me. Um, let's see here. Oh, do you fish? This is a little personal question for me. Are you a fisherman?
Only if I pay a guide.
Okay. Um, I'm a bit of a fisherman. I'm not a pro or anything, but my whole life I've enjoyed fishing. I've fished in many, many states. I've been in Minnesota personally and fished 4 times. I think the first time I was 9, the last time I was maybe 18. Minnesota, hands down, has the best lakes and the best fishing of anywhere. That's just
Try
my opinion.
try Canada. Try
That's
just
just
north
that's
of
like
Canada.
Uber Minnesota.
The best.
Yeah, I can
Do you like what's your favorite fish?
to eat or to catch.
Eat.
Oh man, some walleye rubbed in Dijon
Boom.
over some wild rice. There's
You get
nothing better.
you put your line in the water up in Canada, just north of Minnesota,
Hmm.
in the like Lake of the Woods, just north of the border.
Hmm.
You put your line in, you get a fish.
That's
You're
what
gonna
it's.
catch a
That's what
limit
it was
every
like.
day, and
Yeah.
it's walleye. The
Hmm.
best walleye I've ever had. I went fishing. My dad took me fishing up there once. We were catching our limit every day.
Walleye's so good.
It's the best.
To give you an idea of how long it's been since I've been in Minnesota and ate walleye and wild rice, the last time I did it, I drank it with a bubble up. Do you remember bubble up?
No,
Okay,
what?
it was like it was Yankee Seven Up. That's what my mom called it.
Bubble up. No.
Bubble Up. It was popular way, way back when. Uh, I don't have any more questions, man. I really, really enjoyed this. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on here. I can tell you're not someone who does this very often, and
Oh no.
as I told you before, I asked you, why you granted me this interview, and you said, what was it you said? You just the way I presented myself.
Yeah, yeah. You
Okay,
just gave me a good vibe.
awesome. Well, just so you know, I have every single one of your UFC fights on DVD in my living room. Um, I don't know if there's anybody else out there that can say that, so that makes me proud to be able to say I'm going to watch a couple of them later. I've watched 5. I'm going to watch the other 2 later. And
Watch that Bobby Green one. You'll see where my knee buckled.
is it right before the finish when the elbows start?
It's in the it's the very first of the second round.
Okay, I'll slow mo it. Um, anything else you want? Oh, I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell the viewers how happy you are with the wonderful education system where you are.
Why?
I just thought it might be enjoyable for you to vent a little
No,
bit.
I'm not a fan of the liberal system in Minnesota here.
I'm
There's
not either.
furries. There's furries in the school. What are they doing there?
That's good. That has no business there, man.
No, and they're
Not,
they're they're barking and meowing at people. You can't say anything to them.
You know, I remember last year my oldest daughter in 7th grade got in trouble for saying damn. Got in trouble for saying damn because she got hurt in the hallway. Um, how can you get in trouble for saying damn but have furries?
Well, that's not even the worst of it. You got the kids that are distracting the students. They're doing their things on their phones. They're talking to their
Mhm.
friends when the teacher's trying to do her lesson, and the teacher can't do anything. You can't
Right.
kick them out of the class because you're gonna hurt their feelings. That's what bothers me. It's like
Mhm.
these kids that are just disrespectful, kick them out of school. If they don't
Yeah.
want to, if they're gonna be disrespectful to the teachers and whatnot and distract other students, I don't know. Get
Yeah.
them out of there.
Exactly. If you ever get tired of that side, Arkansas is about as far the other side as you'll find.
They should have rulers to whip the kids with. That's for sure.
They just took cell phones out of schools. You're
Yeah,
not allowed to have a phone in school anymore. It's back to school. It's
that's good.
our governor is I have a feeling you're somewhat politically knowledgeable. Um, Sarah Huckabee.
Not anymore. I stopped following politics about 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Okay, she was Trump's press secretary, I believe.
Yeah.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She's our governor now.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's Arkansas. There's no furries in school here.
Nice.
All right, man. Thank you again. This was awesome. I'm a huge fan. I don't ever reach out to anyone that I'm not a fan of because I care about talking to you, and if I don't like you, we're not going to have a good interview. So I appreciate you, sir.
You're welcome. Yeah.
I will we'll get off here. I'll upload it. It takes about a minute per minute of recording to upload. When it's done, I'll send it. I'll send you a copy if you want to watch it. If you see anything you don't like, let me know. I'll take it down.
No, I'm pretty sure it's fine.
All right, man. I tell everybody at this point, I've spoke to you long enough. We've shared enough laughs. I feel like you're a buddy. You're a friend. I hope you feel like that about me too. If I'm ever in Minnesota, maybe we'll go catch some walleye. If you're ever in Arkansas, man, come get a pulled pork sandwich from me.
I will, for sure.
All right, Jacob. Thank you very much and have a good rest of your night.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.